And welcome to Ghana Connect. Tonight, to legalize or not to legalize.
Let us review the law, accommodate Okada or Adedita operators by mainstreaming them into our national transport system. Mr. Speaker, we appear to want to put convenience of everything else. I don't even know whether if I were to go and support a bill in this house to ban Okada, whether I will be returning to this house in the next election.
The debate over whether or not Ghana should join the likes of Nigeria in legalizing commercial motorbike operations divided Parliament yesterday. Tonight, we connect Ghana and beyond to make our input before Parliament gets its way. We connect after summary of the day's news.
From the Joy Newsroom, here are the latest news headlines. Police says it is investigating an incident that led to the alleged stabbing of a passenger in an Uber vehicle. According to the victim, Daniel Isiama, the Uber driver stabbed him in his hands while arguing over the cost of transportation. The driver was arrested by the cantonment police. The victim, Daniel, has been speaking to Joy News.
So he said no, he's going to take my documents that he brought back to the one who sent, the sender, the one who sent the document. And I told you, the person that you are going, he's not even there at the moment, he has left. So why are you taking the document to? And he said, no, then he will keep the document. I said, no, you can't keep my document, they are my car documents. I'm going somewhere, so take this money and leave and report, and Uber will solve your issue for you. And he said, no. So he tried snatching my documents for me. So when he snatched it, I said, oh no, those are my car documents. You can't take them. And he snatched it and he was going into his car. So I rushed to snatch my document. I wanted to pick my document back. Then he started struggling with me, you understand? So in the course of struggling, he reached into his car and picked out a very big kitchen knife. So he threatened he would stab me with a kitchen knife. And I said, no, you can't keep my documents until you try to stab me. And I'll just look at you and you drive away. No. So I told him, no, I don't care if he even stabs me or something. He should give me my documents. So when I tried going for the documents, he sat in the car. So when he sat in the car, I said, no, I will not allow you to leave the car with my documents. Then he swung the knife at me. So he wanted to stab my side. So I quickly dodged. I tried dodging the knife. Then I blocked with my arm, and he stabbed my arm right now. So a very deep cut. So I was bleeding profusely.
Well, following the story, we'll bring you more in our subsequent bulletins. Now, the much-awaited 3 Music Awards is coming off tomorrow at the Fantasy Dome. The award scheme is set aside to award musicians who have excelled in the art, considering their respective works during the year under review. Nancy Emefa-Dradosi has more.
Are you all ready for the night of bliss, glamour, and certainly some good music? I guess you are. One category, which is the most sought after, is the Song of the Year. And your nominees are...
I know my love. I know my love. Oh, my love. Yes, Mobia one master. Master. Mobia nene master. Master. Oh, baby, yeah. Oh, baby, yeah. I never think that I could fall in love like this again. Never know you and I will be over. Oh, my baby, baby, you killing me softly. We will never be a poverty. I don't do them anything. She will say me if you wish me well, I wish you well. When you're media, on Chonko na Ondo.
Also, the Music Man of the Year has the best in the game: Rockstar Kwame Eugene, Beam President Stoneboy, King Promise, Champion Shatawale, Kiddy, Kwesiata, the AMG President Medical, and Obedisa Kodie. For you ladies, who will be the Music Woman of the Year? Is it going to be Wendy Shea, Adina, Dinah Hamilton, Patience Nyako, Miss V, the late Ebony Rains, or Afia? And for you, the fans, you were not left out. Are you part of the Shatter Movement or the Gadam Nation, the Sack Nation, the Beam Nation, or a Money fan? Also, are you a Patipa soldier or part of the Omwada crew, the AMG? You will have a chance to vote in the Fan Army of the Year category. If you want some good music, be there at the Fantasy Dome tomorrow, because reggae artists Rocky Dawuni, Shatawale, Kiddy, Kwame Eugene, Wendy Shea, Adina, Joe Metal, Koda, Medical, Joey B, and Ekwabwa will be there to thrill you. Be there.
Definitely cannot miss this one. Tickets are still selling here at the front desk of Joy FM. And these are the latest news headlines. We connect after this break.
This is what you've been waiting for. The internet experience you've been dreaming about. Welcome to Vodafone's Gigabit Net. Music, pictures, and large documents downloaded in seconds. Lessons from your favorite online masterclass streamed right into your bedroom. Video calls with friends anywhere in the world. Be part of the real 4G experience on Vodafone's Gigabit Net at amazing speeds and seamless connectivity. With Vodafone's Gigabit Net, it's not downloading, it's downloaded. It's not sending, it's sent. It's not buffering, it's streaming. Switch to Vodafone and get the real 4G experience on Ghana's only Gigabit network. The future is exciting. Ready?
Thank you, folks. On my A list today, show some love for Contractor EB. So, Contractor, what do you think about the country's changing skyline?
Oh, send them down there, Shurima. Across skyline, they change you, papa.
Wow. Contractor, don't you get worried when you hear of buildings collapsing?
I'm out for an answer on Tassam. It is the likability of using low quality product.
Please explain why.
Yeah, cement is no quality on your gasem. Village of Fefu. It was built with gasem. Says the gasem the construction. See what pumping. Share N1. Can you tell market? Kotokana Kumasi Airport. Kipko Stadium. A trouble gas project in na. Gasebo. Messi what the quality. You know what is quality?
Gasem. 3 cement grades. Greater value. Gasem. The nation builder.
Thank you very much, Mr. Evans Manson. I listen to you every day, and I encourage you and thank you for all the educative programs you mount.
And you are live on Joy 99.7 FM. This is Ghana Connect. And of course, just yesterday, a debate ensued in Parliament. It really out of the blue. Nobody expected it. But there was a call for the legalization of Okada commercial motorcycles. And in the country where just a few weeks back, we got statistics from the National Road Safety Commission indicating that crashes as far as motorbikes are concerned had increased by 100% year on year. 2016-2017 is the second leading cause of death on our roads. And yet, many MPs in Parliament yesterday argued strongly that we should legalize the operations of commercial motorcycles. And that has generated quite some debate as this has started. Again, the same week, the Deputy Transport Minister was at another program, a consultation with other parties in the transport sector to discuss the business of Okada and commercial motorcycles. And one of the proposals he had put forward is that you restrict the operations to after 9 p.m. No, okay, restrict them, don't let them operate after 9 p.m. They can operate any other time of the day. That will also be legalizing it, but just restricting the operation. So already the conversation has started. The government is already talking about it. Parliamentarians are debating it. It's our time to have a conversation as well. Listen to part of the conversation in Parliament yesterday.
Let us review the law to accommodate Okada or Adedita operators by mainstreaming them into our national transport system. Mr. Speaker, we appear to want to put convenience of everything else. I don't even know whether if I were to go and support a bill in this house to ban Okada, whether I will be returning to this house in the next election. So if in 1 year they cause the death of about 1,000 people, we should be concerned and not merely resort to the argument of convenience.
So it's a simple question tonight. Should we legalize Okada in Ghana? And there's a poll question we've put up already, and you are debating this already. Nearly 1,000 people have already participated in the poll. Fascinating results that we are getting there already, and the debate is pretty heated. Yeah, people are very concerned about it. Some have horrible experiences to share about their Okada experience. Some have very good experiences to share as well. This is divided right in the middle, and the poll results tell us exactly just that. It's not as easy as don't legalize or legalize. There are complexities there, and that is why tonight we'll be live in Nigeria, where they call it Okada. In fact, we are borrowing that term from Nigeria. They have their own challenges. I just read before I came on air that in Nigeria themselves, they're now restricting the operations of Okada to, the rural areas, not in the heart of the city. And so they themselves are trying to tweak how they legalize it there, and they've been operating there for years. We'll be live in Uganda as well, where they also have a bustling, booming commercial motorcycle business, and they call it Boda Boda. in East Africa. We'll be live in Uganda as well, because they also have their own experiences to share with us. As we go along this, we may learn from Nigeria and Uganda. Join us in the studio is Cecil Gabra. He is a transport consultant, the CEO of Top Tech Transport and Logistics. Connects in the studio. Also connecting is William. He is a proprietor of Bill's Idea and a concerned Ghanaian. He doesn't agree with the proposal to legalize. Ahmed will join us shortly. He's an Okada rider, and we'll connect in the studio. We'll also be connecting to Kweku Ankoma Abrokwa. Is a spokesperson, PRO for the Center for Transport Security, MP for Daklu. Kwame Agboja, who is a ranking member on the Transport Committee, one of those who was vehemently in support of this, will join us as well. We'll also connect to Chiman and speak to Mohammed Awal, who leads an association of Okada riders. This is a packed conversation. I want you to join us. This is how, wherever you are.
Join us now on Twitter, #Ghana Connect Live, Facebook, Joy 99.7 FM, or send us a WhatsApp on 0244 340 437, and we will call you back. Join the nation's biggest conversation now and connect to authority.
Don't forget, the poll is up and conversation already ongoing. Nearly 1,000 people debating this online. Go to Joy 99.7 Facebook and participate in that poll. I'll be announcing the results shortly. William, I'll start with you. Have you used Okada before?
Yes, I have.
You have? Okay. And so why are you opposed to legalizing it?
Because there are
First of all,
right.
What was the circumstance for you using it? Why do you use it?
I was under pressure. I needed to meet a timeline.
Okay.
And then moving from one place to another by taxi was going to keep long. So I decided to risk it and actually patronize Okada. Okay. I've used it more than once.
More than once?
And I've had terrible experiences.
Oh, I see. But did you get you to the destination in time the first time when you had the challenge, when the regular transport couldn't get you?
I got to my destination, but my heart was beating.
Oh, but you got to the destination.
I got to my destination.
Apart from your heart beating, you were safe.
My heart was beating because of the dangers I encountered on my way.
Tell us about it.
Okay, so we used a particular route, and then we're in the middle of the road.
True.
And a truck was coming from another side of the road.
Okay.
And we didn't see because there was a car on our right. You get it? Because the roads are not demarcated to accommodate motorbikes.
True.
We couldn't see the danger, and we almost had a crash.
Okay.
The second time, it was with an articulator truck.
Motorcycle and articulator truck. That's a total mismatch.
That's a mismatch.
And
around airport.
Did the articulator truck hit you?
No, it didn't.
Nearly.
Yeah. Just a few inches away.
Okay. Were you in a helmet?
Yes, I was.
Oh, then that's a good one. You were in a helmet. You probably would have just survived a few scratches.
a few scratches. It may have been very fatal.
Okay, so but have you stopped using it?
Yes, I have.
Totally. Even when the first scenario plays out again, you are under pressure. You have to make to an appointment, and taxi won't get you because of traffic. You still not use it.
I'll still not use it. I now know I have to manage the situation better.
I see. Okay, is that where you draw your position from?
Definitely.
To the legalization?
Yeah.
Okay.
Aside that, a few other things. You know, aside the road not being planned to accommodate Okada vehicles, you also look at the fatality, the degree of injury when motorbikes are involved in an accident. So this time around, if you commercialize it, what it means is that many more people are being brought into that circle. You know, that risk circle. Aside that, we can also talk about the fact that motorbikes end up damaging other vehicles on the road.
Oh, that's my number one concern.
You see.
So you just spray your car.
Yeah.
You know, you're driving, and by the time you realize,
and it's because
and they won't stop.
With cars. Yes, they won't stop.
Has it happened to you before?
Yes, it has.
They just scratch you and they're gone. You can't do anything about it. Okay, yes.
Many of those instances have not been recorded.
True.
You get it? So the statistics that we talk about, they don't include all these things. And if we are to put these things against the mere argument of it providing jobs and then being convenient, then I think it's...
You think the negatives outweigh the positives?
Yeah.
And just to back your point, the Road Safety Commission's report that people have cited, I just want to quote from it. It says the road user class with the highest share of fatalities continue to be first pedestrians, 827, 24, that's 39.5%, followed by motorcycle users, 437. That's 21%. This is 2017. And so, in other words, if you're on a motorbike, you're more likely to die in the case when there is a crash, which is what the statistics show. Definitely. Pedestrians are one. As if you're walking by the roadside, you're first, likely fatality, and then followed by motorcycles. And so that's what the statistics say. We've heard the opposition. I want to connect right now. Mohammed Awal heads the. He's against Okada riders. He works with the Okada riders into Chiman. He speaks for them and connects on the telephone line right now. He leads an association of Okada riders. Hello, Awal.
Yeah, Ivan.
Thank you very much for connecting.
Thank you for connecting me to Ghana.
Yes. Now, tell me, you how many members do you have in your association?
Fantastic. We have registered in the association. We have 705 people registered with me. Then we have an estimated of about 300 people who are using the same machine, which are not registered within town. So in total, we have about 1,000 of these machines in town that is working in the Chiman municipality.
I see. Okay. So I guess you are in support of legalizing the Okada business, correct?
Of course, I'm for it.
Tell me why.
Because if you look at it currently, just as the statistics I've given you, about 1,000 people are working within Techiman alone. It means that it has given jobs to some teeming youth who maybe might be crying out for jobs from the government or whatever. But now it's like private jobs that they themselves have found themselves in, and they are happy with the job. And so I think that if we legalize it, it's going to streamline the system so that we will be able to monitor and control the system. Like you were talking to, I think, a brother who is there, and he's talking about the kind of crash that they may cause on vehicles. Yes, these are all possible, and that there are some of the negatives. But when the system is being normalized, that we can check on all this, because we put them all under association, and we can monitor their activity. And when we do that, certainly we would get them to be in order so that things will work well for us.
Extend a line for me, Mohammed. I want to interact with Cecil. Cecil is obviously Top Tech, knows this back to back. Cecil, that's the argument for it, that if you legalize, then you can regulate, then you can streamline, you can monitor, train, enforce training, etc., etc. But the way it is now, their guys are operating anyway. And so why don't you legalize them so they can then bring them to an association and get them and enforce the law when it comes to that? What's your comeback on that?
Well, I definitely will not agree with him. If you look at Regulation 128, it is stated clearly that the licensing authority shall not register a motorcycle or tricycle to carry a fare-paying passenger. I mean, these are laws, right? LI 2180 was made to protect us. Now, the people who made the laws, okay, sat down several months, several years. I mean, I know what I'm talking about because this came in force in 2012, and somewhere around 2008, they started, with the deliberations. I mean, we're all stakeholders were part of it. Right. And then we got to know that this is not any good thing in Ghana. Other African countries have practiced it. It is still ongoing, and it is not any good practice. So why do we have to introduce it to our country, where we cannot even fight road crashes in general? I'm talking about vehicles. If we cannot, then why are you bringing in motorcycles? It is dangerous. In fact, I am a rider, okay, and I stopped riding several years ago. I was stopped by my wife because it was dangerous. Right. Now, secondly...
So your wife has not stopped you and I've continued?
Yes, I have Seidu in my office, okay. We have a motorcycle, okay, that we send him around for delivery and so on, go and deliver letters. I have sat behind it before because I was going for a meeting. Fine, I got there early, but when I came back, I said, Seidu, is that what you meet? Total disrespect, a road safety person. And then, you know what? Motor riders are not even supposed to ride in the middle.
True.
Okay? The law is just so clear that they must ride either in a motorcycle lane or in the outer lane.
Yeah.
Okay? Which means that if you are driving, you must see 180 degrees. If you are sitting behind the steering wheel, you must see them from everywhere. But here you are, they come from your blind side and then cause a lot of havoc. Like William just mentioned, they'll hit you and they go off. How many of them have rider's license? Let's go outside right now and stop the motor riders.
Let me ask the question of Mohammed. How many of your members have rider's license?
As of now in Techiman, more than 700 of them have license. I usually lead them to the DVLA to do their license. And so many of them have their license. Yes, of course, there are sometimes that some people will not have license. That one, I will not run away from that. Yeah, but I can tell you that more than 70% of our riders in Techiman here have their license and they have insured the vehicle that they are using.
Okay, but do you know that as it is right now, your operations are illegal?
Yes, per the Road Safety Regulation 2012. That is 2180, subsections 128, says that motorcycle or tricycle shall not be used for commercial purpose. Yet we know.
Mohammed, you amaze me. So you quote the law, you quote the section, and yet you blatantly violate it by operating a motorcycle.
Even you see, these motorcycles, the law is not working. Let me say so. Because if the law is something that is working, they wouldn't be on the road anymore. So once it is not, it's still there and the people are on the road and we are using it like that, let's streamline it. Let it be legalized. When we legalize it, certainly we can get associations and unions that would monitor them. Then we can even give them some color. And we have, like you talk about, I think you say Uganda or Rwanda, one of them.
Yeah, that is Uganda.
Yes, Rwanda, they have a police unit in charge of motorcycle alone. So don't we have, if we legalize it, certainly we'll be able to do something like that. Those people there are people who are looking for jobs. There are other persons who are using the motorcycle just for their fun, or they are using it on their own private work. But those who are there as workers, certainly they will obey the law and they will go by it. So I am for it that let's legalize it. Let us get them and train them well. We'll put them under the associations and give the associations a mandate that this is what you are supposed to do and what you are not supposed to do. And we know clearly that even as we speak, today, when criminals break out of jail or when they do something that is criminal, we still have to find, the police have to go and get informants. Who are the informants? They are the very people who are within the community that give them information. So if you give us the chance that we should go out and work legally, and somebody commits crime, we will be able to check out the person and bring him out for the law to run on.
Mama, stay online for me. William, don't you see a point in his argument?
I don't see any point in his
Just let me explain further. He says, clearly, you sat on a motorbike. Yeah. That was illegal.
That was illegal.
But you did it, right? Did it. He's also saying this. He quotes the law, section, subsection, everything. He knows it. But the point he makes it, the law is not working. You could sit on a motorbike because the law isn't working. So if it isn't working, why don't you then legalize it so you can monitor and enforce? Don't you get the argument?
So if it's not working now, what shows when you legalize it will work?
Well, but if it's legal, then you can enforce the law.
If it's illegal now, are the laws being enforced?
No.
Definitely. So if they are not being enforced now, nothing shows that it will be enforced another time.
Okay, so what's the solution? What should we do? If your argument is that both ways won't enforce, then let's leave it to operate the way it is. That's what you want?
No, we should enforce the laws. Okay. Do you know why we are seated here talking about this issue today? It's because the laws are not being enforced. Even if they form associations, look at the taxi operation in Ghana. There are associations.
Yeah.
You get me? But taxi stations are starting on major roads. Right here, close to around Circle. Taxi stations are starting on major roads.
True.
The police are not stopping them. If Okada riders decide to start stations on major roads, would they be able to stop them?
They are already. We have just at a traffic light here. We have plenty
and sometimes
of them.
Even one of the reasons why we have a lot of pedestrians dying on the road is because the pavements have been taken by traders. They have been taken by motor riders. And these pedestrians have to compete with cars on the roads. So in case of any accident, it's easier for a car to drift and then hit a pedestrian. Do you get it? So if these things are allowed, there are no regulations for working in this country, let me say. The MTTD should be able to clamp down on these motor riders. And if they are not supposed to be working on commercial basis, they shouldn't be allowed to work on commercial basis.
Okay.
I hear this argument that it provides convenience and then it provides jobs.
Jobs, yes.
Look at the street hawkers. Buying from them is convenient.
True.
It provides them jobs. It brings them money. You get it. It's illegal. If we think legalizing Okada business because of convenience and the fact that it provides business, then we might as well also legalize street hawking.
But Mohammed.
Yes, sir.
Mohammed, have you seen the Road Safety Commission statistics that show that the motorcycles contribute the second highest number of fatalities when we do the statistics every year, at least according to 2017?
Of course, yes, I've seen some. Myself, I did my thesis in risk factors in road accidents, and so I know that when you go to road accident, there are a lot of factors that contribute to that. But Evans, if you talk about the highest on road fatality, then you bring motorcycle vis-a-vis vehicles that's using the other, cars. Then you look at the quantum of people who die on the part of the car as against the motor. Then you see that it is something that is not equal.
No. That's what the statistics says. The statistics says if you are counting just the numbers of people who die, more people on motorbikes die than people in cars.
I don't really think that is true.
No, what do you mean by I don't think that is true? The Road Safety Commission, let me give you the statistics. Road Safety Commission says 437 people died on motorbikes in 2017, as against 364. 364 bus occupants. That's the statistics for you.
Evans, if you look at that, in 2017 alone, road fatality using the death it's about 2,000.
Yes. I'm talking about. There are others. So there's pedestrians 800. If you add or you hit the 2,000, but if you disaggregate and you let motorcycles as against bus occupants, motorcycle riders and those on it, more people die there than those in the bus.
No, I think that when we do that, that means we are being so discriminated. Why do not picking motorcycles against vehicles, that's car vehicle? Because if you take bus and eliminate those who are using private cars and then using even other maybe other commercial vehicles, then that means you are only taking motorcycle against one aspect, which if you quantify them, it is not true. Rather, let's look at it and quantify all that. This is what motorcycles have cost against vehicles in general.
Okay. Cecil, do you get his point?
Well, I totally disagree with him. I mean, laws are laws. Laws are made not to be broken, right? We need to just go by the law. And I have said it several times that our weakest in the 4 technical E's of road safety is enforcement. Okay, we do not want to agree that it's enforcement, but it is.
Why do you think that the law is that clear, but the police are unable to enforce it? Now, even the state government is having a conversation about, okay, so what do we do with them? Should we allow them to operate 9 p.m. or before 9 p.m.? Meanwhile, the law is clear. They shouldn't. Why do you think, what's the difficulty?
Well, I think the major problem the police is having is numbers. Okay, and communication and how to get them arrested. I quite remember about 6 months ago, I saw the whole police team around Teshi Nungwa, Teshi Nungwa Dua Carriage, which means that if a motor rider is coming, there is nowhere else he can pass. They stop him. Where are your documents, your rider's license, and so on, and then they put it in a truck.
The motorcycle.
Yes. That's the police will seize it and then take it to MTTD office or the nearest police office. Right. That is what we want to see. Now, about 6 years ago, I was on your station with a top policeman, and he said, "Oh, they'll clamp all the Okadas. Okada cannot exist." And I told him that, "Papa Police, this is never going to happen."
Why?
Because you can do it. You cannot do it.
It's true. It's not happened.
Yes.
But why were you so confident that it won't happen?
I was confident because they cannot do it. The numbers, like I'm saying, for the police is not right. I mean, if you pick one MTTU personnel, and I'm talking about MTTD, right? The MTTD that I know of is a special motor police who knows everything about the LI 2180, all about the legislative instrument on traffic regulations and what to do and what you must not do. You cannot bamboozle that guy. Right, but then the ordinary police personnel do not know much about this. So I am hoping that, I mean, from now onwards, we will come in with specialized police as the MTT. Those guys in the white or white cap. Okay, these guys are the police, the traffic police. You cannot transfer someone who is an MTTD official to go to, let's say, last station and go and sit behind a counter. And this is what is happening. I believe strongly that if we have special and dedicated MTTD, this will stop. We'll clamp down on this motor riders. It is too much. It's quite of a nuisance.
Let's connect now to Uganda. I'm grateful that we've been joined. We can connect to Diana Nasike. Joins us from Uganda. She's a doctor and has been dealing with fatal cases when it comes to this problem. But also Uganda, we understand, has a very thriving commercial motorcycle business there. Hello, Dinah.
Hello.
Hi. Thank you very much for connecting here on Joy 99.7 FM. I trust you're doing well.
You're welcome.
Great. I understand. Well. I understand you call it what? Border. What do you call it?
Borders.
What does that mean, by the way?
Borders. It's just a local term to mean a passenger motorcycle.
Okay.
It doesn't have a direct translation. It's just a noun, a local noun that was given to a passenger motorcycle.
Now, let me ask you. You've lived with it for a long time. Ghana is currently debating whether we should legalize, commercial motorcycles or not. Based on the experience of Uganda, should we legalize it?
I don't think so. So, in Uganda, we are like the capital city of borders. But whereas it provides employment for the youth, it's quite a risky business because right now, in the last 3 years, for example, we have lost about 7,000 people to border accidents.
Did you say 7,000 people?
7,000 people dead. And then we've had close to 25,000 injuries from border accidents alone in 3 years. Okay? So every day we get about 10 accidents in Kampala of border. In Kampala alone, border accidents every single day. Every single day, 30 to 70 border riders are arrested because they have gotten into accidents. Okay? Mulago, which is our national referral hospital, gets 10 to 20 severe border accidents, really bad accident cases daily. Okay? And it takes about 7 million Uganda shillings, that's about $2,800 to treat one victim who is severely injured, right? And then our economy suffers about 3 billion Uganda shillings, which is about 1.2 million Uganda dollars, as value output lost due to days away from severe injuries and work, for these victims. Okay, cost of
Hello, Dana. Oh, unfortunately, we've lost him. Do you have a while? We've lost a while as well. But those are some shocking statistics there, and they've been doing it for years.
Very.
So this is real experience we hear, and this is a medical doctor, so she understands what she's saying there.
So why are we
7,000 deaths?
Why do we need it
in 3 years?
Wow!
Why do we need
It's
it?
20-something plus thousand injuries.
And you see, Evans, not cutting you, it's always the pillion riders that suffer. Pillion riders are those sit at the back. I mean, the passengers. That's how we call them. They suffer because if you sit behind it, you cannot hold the rider. You have to hold the back of it. Right, so in case of any accident, the rider sees it. He may jump off. What about the pillion rider? So why are we encouraging this at all? I mean, we have our laws. Are we saying that laws were made to be broken? I think that is not right. We will really have to go back and then enforce the laws. Let's enforce the laws.
Thankfully, apologies, we lost you briefly, but you were giving us you were just mentioning the economic cost to Uganda.
Yeah, the economic cost. So the cost of life, economic cost to Uganda, it's way too high. I'm not sure it balances the equation of youth employment and all the other things. There's just no proper framework of laws within which to get these guys. Because even when they are arrested, very few are actually brought to court because people don't have time for that. 30 to 70 border guys every day. Where are you going to take them? Do you even have the policeman power to keep them? Nothing. Others run away because they're not registered, they're not licensed. So even when police chases them, they manage to just disappear in some bushes that side. So it's a sticky situation. I don't think it's worth the risk. Yeah. So I don't think I would encourage
Ghana to go the way of Uganda. But tell me something. So when did I'm assuming that this is there's a law that legalizes it, correct?
Okay.
Is there a law in Uganda that legalizes it, or there's no law but people are just operating? What is it?
I'm not so sure if there's a law. It's just recognized as a legitimate mode of transport. I'm not sure if there's a law, anything about legal or illegal.
Okay.
I know there is no law against them. So
okay. So they are operating in a vacuum. So there isn't any properly defined law that regulates the activities in Uganda.
Yes.
Okay.
Except here and there of you need to have helmets, you need to have some kind of licensure, but it's just very poorly inspected and very poorly implemented. So yeah, I would say that.
Interesting. Stay on the line for me. I want to connect to Nigeria now. They also have their own version of this called Okada, which it's very famous. We've lost Nigeria on the line, but we'll connect to Nigeria very shortly. But Dana, your picture you paint for us is the reason that most members of parliament have given for arguing that we legalize it is that this provides livelihoods, it provides jobs, families depend on this. In Uganda, is there any, when you listen to those arguments as against the cost that you've painted for us, do you think that the benefits possibly maybe will balance out the costs and the negatives?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Yes, it's true. They do provide employment. Families do depend on them, but the cost is just too high. You know, you can't legalize something and then you have no legal framework to contain it. It just grows and gets out of control. So it may be good, but I don't think the benefits outweigh the cost. The cost is too high. And actually, there's a paper that was published in 2014 by some guys who did a study on these things. And they said that the more the bodabodas increase in number on the roads, the more the accidents are going to occur. Okay? They're already spending a chunk of our budget in the hospital. 62.5% of what is allocated to the surgical department goes to managing bodaboda accidents alone. Not trauma, boda accidents alone. 62% of the budget. Where are we going to get all that money? So I think it's way too costly. I think instead of legalizing bodas, they can do something different. Put more buses on the road. I don't know, put a train or something. But bodas is just way too costly.
Dana, I'm grateful that you joined us from Uganda. And have you hopped on boda before yourself?
Of course I have. They are very convenient. Costly, but convenient.
And what was your experience? Have you had any bad experience yet, or it's been, without the incident?
Yes, of course. Like, okay, we've got like, there are some companies that are trying to make it a bit more, what should I say, professional. So we've got companies like Safe Border, we've got companies like Uber, there's Uber Border, there's Taxify, and they put them under very strict regulations of how to ride safe and all that, and they keep tracking them. But those are the minority. The majority of the bodas out there are crazy. They run the lights, and interestingly, even when there's a police officer at the intersection of the traffic lights, boda, they don't see red lights. Red lights don't apply to them, so they just cross. That's how they end up crashing. They just ride, they cut, through cars and all. You see death coming for you, So it's very risky to use one. You have to constantly either hit the guy or threaten him. I don't know with what, to tell him, you know what, you're not taking me with. If you want to die, you won't take me with you. But it's if you're new to it, it can be quite a very scary experience. Yeah.
Dana, thank you very much. And you have your own car now, I guess, and so you don't take boda anymore.
Yeah.
I wish you all the best, Dana. Thank you very much for connecting. Dana connecting from Uganda there. Fascinating insight into this. And let me ask a question I didn't know. Cecil, are motor riders expected to stop at the red light?
Yes, of course.
They are?
They are supposed to stop. Okay. They are supposed to be part of everything that a driver would do. I mean,
so observe all the other road signs.
When a motorcyclist is going for a test at DVLA, the test is almost the same as the driver's test. Okay, and then when it comes to testing, which I was going to ask your guy from, is it the Brown?
Yeah, okay.
Right. Whether they went through the examination. You know what happens in this country.
Yeah.
I think I told you the other time on a different program that, look, I can walk you to DVLA, I'll get a license for you today.
Yeah.
No.
Sharp.
Yes.
It's the highest bidder.
Yes.
If you have the cash.
Precisely. Right. It is true. It's a fact. Don't deny it.
Let me bring in the ranking member on the transport committee. Hello, Ms. Agboja.
Good evening, Evans, and good evening to your church list.
I am grateful that you joined us. Just before you joined us, I don't know if you listened. We just spoke to one of our connectors from Uganda, where they have a thriving commercial motorcycle business, and they call it boda, and her experience is harrowing. I asked her, based on the experience, they've been practicing this for years, based on their experience in Uganda, would she advise that, and she's a medical doctor as well, would she advise that we go the way and legalize it? And she says categorically no. One of the reasons is, she says in Uganda, 7,000 deaths from motorcycle riders, commercial motorcycle alone in the last 3 years, 20,000 plus injuries, and economic cost is even worse. That is the advice from a very experienced country dealing with commercial motorcycle riders already. You listen to that. I know you are for it, so I'm presenting that to you. And does that change your stance at all, or you still say we should go ahead with the legalization?
Evans, I thank you very much, and I want to commend Multimedia for picking up this very, very important issue across our country. I'm sure your listenership this evening probably, if there was a way we could measure it, will probably be one of the highest. You will notice that the lady you spoke to never said that the accident, they have a statistic that says that it is only border people. And I'm happy you probed further, and she says that they don't have any law in that country to regulate motorcycles on commercial basis. So in other words, they have a situation just like ours. So it is not as if there was a law to regulate it, and yet it's not been done. And
there's disagreement with you in the studio. Very briefly, so that you continue. Yes, Cecil.
Yes, we have a law. I'm really surprised that Honorable MP is.
The law is what?
It is 128 LI 218.
Which says what?
And it says clearly the licensing authority shall not register a motorcycle or a tricycle to carry a fare-paying passenger. 2. A person shall not use a permit. Shall not use or permit a motorcycle or tricycle over which that person exercises control to be used for commercial purposes, except for courier and delivery services. That you see.
Okay.
So it goes on and on.
Hold on. Let me hear the MP now. That's the law.
Evans, I was referring to the fact that the Uganda lady says they don't have a law regulating commercial. I'm not sure why your colleague in the studio is trying to say that I'm saying there's no law on motor riding in this country. I never said that. Secondly, my brother, you see, the teacher who is returning from teaching in a rural area this evening at the back of a motorbike, the nurse who is on the way to a night shift in a rural area, the policeman who is responding to an emergency in another community in a rural area this evening is not a miscreant. Is adopting a method of transportation which is the only one available to them to be able to carry out their civic duties in this country, just like you and I. All these statistics that have been brought up, and I am surprised the gentleman who just spoke says that he's done some statistics and other things. My brother, just last week, over 70 people died in a bus. A plane can crash and people will die. In fact, even paragliding is legitimate in this country. All we are saying is this. If you go to the front of Parliament on Monday morning, there are people parking there with motorcycles who are providing commercial services. Is it not a case of people pretending that this is not happening when it's happening right in front of Parliament? We are calling for a debate, which you are doing, that let's find a way of regulating the activities of these people, as Honorable Muntaka says, so that we can find a best way of regulating and ensure safety is built into that new law that will come to Parliament, so that the people who actually practice this as a business and people who patronize it don't see themselves as criminals. What is the difficulty about this? And all these statistics about, look, if a bad driver goes and knocks down people on the pavement, and you add it to people who died out of accident. If a bad driver goes to knock down a motorcyclist, and then you add it and say that all these people who died is a result of the motor rider, is there any statistics in this country that says that when a car hits somebody and he dies, it's automatically the fault of the rider? Let us be realistic about it. And I'm saying, from where I come from, the fact that Uber is not available as is available to all of us, including myself, the colleagues in the studio. There's no taxi services. You can't have Uber in
Adaklu. No, yes.
Yes, and just last week, I was in India. India is more developed than Ghana. I took tricycle. I didn't see that tricycle scratch any bus. I didn't feel my life endangered and anything. And this India, the New Delhi, almost 30 million people. In other words, the entire country of Ghana lives in New Delhi alone. They have a bustling and a huge population of this working perfectly. In fact, India even has a metro system, a train system that works in the city. They have a public transport system, which is a bus system, but they have to use it to complement it. So when we are making the argument for us to consider this, it's not about bringing this scary statistic that this number of people died in a motor accident and other things. In any case, it says that the people who actually are not doing it for commercial purposes also don't get involved in an accident. So I'm saying that the argument on the side of people who are blocking it is either flawed because it doesn't take into consideration the fact that it is already happening. I hope your colleague in the studio was going to tell me that this is there was another way to change the law. But he's already considered that the law, no matter what you do, it's not going to work. So why don't we change it in a way that works? That's
okay. I have a citizen here, William, who wants to engage. William, please, this is the MP engagement.
Yes, I want to find out from the Honourable MP if he considers the loss of one life to be something meager for him to say that the statistics are just being bloated or being blown out of proportion, does he consider a life to be worth more than even the money someone makes riding Okada on a commercial basis?
Mr. Boja. Yes, he probably just simplified it. The issue is not about making money for people. I just gave you 3 examples. The teacher returning from another community in a rural area this evening on the back of Okada is not a miscreant. The nurse on the motorbike going to a night shift at a shift compound or at a clinic in a rural area this evening is not a miscreant. A policeman responding, by the way, the police in Adaklu would not have a taxi responding to an emergency. It's not a miscreant. And so it's not an issue of somebody trying to make money at the back of somebody injured. And look, when these buses got accident, so should we say that people shouldn't take buses anymore? Are we not calling for better ways of training the drivers and ensuring that they take sleep on the long journey? That is the way we develop our country.
Okay, there are more questions for you in the studio. Yes, sir.
Well, this is even not any question.
Okay, the contribution.
It's just a simple thing. The MP has a car loan. Okay, right? He goes to buy a V8, 600,000 Ghana cedis or so. Right? If you look at the cost of the motorcycle, which is the Royal motorcycle, is 3,000 cedis. You give it to an Okada, he's going to get you at least 500 cedis a month. You give it to him, work and pay. Why are we also not thinking? I mean, why can't we advise Parliament that, look, these police officers, whoever is concerned who wants to own a motorbike, let's get a loan for them to own a motorbike. Now, I belong to Ghana National Association of Driving Schools. We have the contract, and we can train all these people, I mean, to know how to ride and then stop this Okada business.
So what you're saying is that just like we own vehicles, people should just own their motorbike and ride them. But that won't solve the death problems.
Well, what will happen is that there will be no rush, because if I'm riding my own bike like I do, I'm not going to pick anybody to rush. The Okada is,
because of the monetary rewards.
Okay, he should go to this place, quickly drop this passenger, pick another passenger, drive.
But how do you distinguish a private owner who is just going to work with a wife behind?
Oh, you can see.
And a commercial. I mean, if you stop me, I'll say, "Oh, this is my wife." We just go. Or this is my brother.
If you see those guys that own their motorbikes, they have a way. They are so different. If you see an Okada, you see that this is an Okada.
The counter argument will be, people own vehicles, and yet we see the kind of rough, terrible driving they do on the roads. Why wouldn't that apply? That will also apply to the motorbike if you own personally. You're assuming that once you buy your own motorbike, then you are more careful. But that's not true with vehicles. So I mean cars and buses.
Well, Evans, if you look at the statistics of road crashes that we have, it is all an issue of negligence, and people don't really care about themselves. I mean, we are not our brother's keeper, in the sense that we do not care. Somebody will be driving on the shoulder of the road. Somebody will be driving in the middle. The MP that I know living around Sakumono will start blaring his siren, drive in the middle of the road, and so on. So I am talking about carelessness.
Yeah, but that will exist whether you privatize it, whether you commercialize it. That problem will exist.
Well, I don't think it will exist, because if you are driving your own vehicle, I mean, I live off the sprinters. We'll stay. I know when I leave my home 6 o'clock, by 6:30, I should be in my office, right? So I'll be in the queue. But then for somebody like the minister or the MP living around Sakumono will prefer driving in the middle of the road.
That's a big
William. They know it. They've been
the
doing
more
it.
important issues that I want our parliamentarians to discuss is about the way our roads are engineered and marked. They are more serious than merely legalizing the Okada business. You legalize it, where are they going to ride?
Okay, so you're making a fundamental point about assuming you legalize it.
Motor lanes.
Exactly. So you haven't made provisions for the motorbike on our roads, and yet you want to legalize it.
Want to legalize
it? Let me put that to Mr. Boja. So that last question about the nature of our roads not being suitable for riders. How do you address that?
Well, first of all, it appears your colleague has got something on MPs. You see, that when you make the argument like that MPs have money for V8, you lose that. You see, once you can see clearly, those who are opposed to this do not have any argument. You see, when I cited examples of a teacher and a nurse and other things, I'm encouraging him. Should he ask that the policeman, a nurse and a teacher to be arrested this evening? You see, let's be realistic. The LI 2180 is no longer reflective of what we are as a people. The second gentleman who spoke about whether it's not important for us to engineer our road to take care of cycle lanes is a very good point. It should be built into the argument for the legalization as we move forward. So I consider that a good point. But the blatant objection and citing the deaths and other things, which is not backed by any statistic. There's no statistics anywhere that says that the people who die on motorbike are Okada. Nothing. Nobody can tell me that. Because if a bad driver actually knocks down a rider, where is the statistic that motorbike has been identified as an Okada? We are talking about lives here. And I'm saying that policeman needs to get to work and work. And we should not mess this difference. This is one of the most important things I encourage multimedia to carry forward, talk to other people so that we can tweak the law to make it more realistic to us as a people and make it safe so that we can develop this country. Let it not be about me or my colleagues in the studio. Let it be about what do Ghanaians want. And I think that is the way we can build it going forward.
Okay, so we did a poll and fascinating results. You can see that this debate is not as simple as yes or no, but that's the question and the possible answers we gave people, because it's really closely split in the middle. However, there's a group that seem to be in terms of their decision louder than the other. There's a majority and a minority, but it's very close. My Ernest, so what's the question we asked in this poll?
So we asked, should we commercialize the Okada business in Ghana? And you have to choose A, yes, or B, no. Now we have 43% saying
okay,
yes.
Let me update that because I just updated it on my timeline, and it's we have 1,200 participants. Yeah, that's right. And yes is 42%.
Okay.
Yes is 42%, and no is 48%. So no. So the majority say no.
Yeah.
58% say no. 42% say yes, but that's still very close.
Yeah,
that's still very close. I was expecting it to be wider than that, but that's still very close. So this is not as straightforward as people think.
But there are some people who seem to be in the middle. Everyone says in the cities yes, in the cities no, but in the rural areas yes.
Raymond says it's a very dangerous move, especially in the city as well.
Emmanuel says we don't need another nuisance on our roads.
Leslie says yes, that is legalize it. It provides jobs for the youth, easy, fast transportation as well.
And on WhatsApp, a listener from Sweden says, having schooled and lived in Nigeria, I really wouldn't advise Ghana to legalize the Okada business. I lost friends to it and had an accident personally.
Okay. Eva Brown says, I would have voted yes with a condition, but since no law works properly in Ghana, bribery and corruption has become menace. That's a resounding no. So he's against it just because of the reasons given.
And let's take this one from Jimmy. Jimmy says, in simple terms, the motorcycle was not designed for commercial transportation. I don't understand why we as a country even dream of this.
Okay, and Mahoney says, does that say no, don't want Ghana to move forward? Shamo Nessa says, ban politicians rather. So he doesn't even want the politicians to even have this debate.
And Kofi Ntema says, Evans, the police themselves patronize Okada. How do you expect them to enforce the law? Legalizing Okada would be no different from legalizing Galamsey.
And the final one says, my point of choosing yes is that there are some villages in Ghana where cars cannot go thrice a week. Apart from these market days, no car due bad roads will go there. There should be a law to guide it if legalized.
And final one from Kwabna in Cape Coast says the DVLA, MMDCs, and police have all contributed to this problem of commercializing tricycles in this country, so that it's difficult to deal with them now.
And thank you very much for sharing your thoughts with us on social media platforms. In Nigeria, if you read the Nigeria wires, you realize that Nigeria is struggling with the legalization for Okada, because the police commissioner they recently called the association they call them the National Tricycle and Motorcycle Owners Riders Association, and reminding them that there's a law now that restricts them to operate in only parts of the rural areas and outer city, and not in the city proper. And so they cannot just come into the city and operate. They must be restricted to parts of the nation, in the villages, rural areas where people really need it, and cannot operate in the heart of the capital. That's how Nigeria is trying to tweak its own implementation of this. I'm grateful that you joined us. William, you will not hop on the back of a motorcycle again, you say?
Never.
Okay, even if it's legalized?
Even if it's legalized.
Okay, well, we'll see.
I prefer to ride with a friend or myself.
Okay, we'll see. Thank you for connecting with us here on Ghana Connect. My name is Evans Mensah. Enjoy the rest of your evening.